Listen, Ed, if you don't start exercising, you're going to gain weight, get diabetes, and probably have your legs cut off, and then you won't even be able to walk if you wanted to. If you look at the research, it's pretty well documented that fear is not a great long-term motivator of behavior change. After 28 years of being a physical therapist, I thought I was in the business of helping people to recover from muscle and joint pain, maybe help them improve their posture, things like that. But turns out, I was wrong. Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Ed DeBoo, physical therapist from Integrated Physical Therapy in Bellingham, Washington. Like I said earlier, I thought I was in the business of helping people recover from muscle and joint pain, maybe post-surgical. But it turns out what I'm really trying to do is change behaviors. One of my long-term goals for all my patients is establishing a long-term home exercise program that they can stick to and is sustainable. So when I work with the patient in the clinic, not only are we trying to deal with what they have going on. Let's say, for example, they're coming in for shoulder pain. So yes, of course, we're going to deal with the shoulder pain, manual therapy, exercise, posture, all that kind of stuff. But then my long-term goal is having them adopt a healthy lifestyle, has exercise as a cornerstone of that foundation. And that is where we're having some trouble, is getting people to exercise for the long term. I quickly realized as a physical therapist, if I wanted to be more effective and if I wanted to get people to really understand the importance of establishing a healthy lifestyle and a long-term exercise program, I needed to know a little bit more about behavior change. In this video, we're going to go over 7 reasons why behavior change is so difficult, but I'm also going to try to offer some solutions. All right, so here we go. I work out at the local YMCA here in Bellingham, and as you walk in, along the wall in big letters, is this great quote that says, "The best views come after the hardest climb." And so I let clients know that, look, behavior change is going to be very difficult and we need to reframe quote-unquote failures. There's going to be failures, there are going to be setbacks. I prefer setbacks versus failures because failure sometimes can seem pretty charged emotionally, and we don't need to have any more negatively charged emotions or negatively charged words. So think of them as setbacks or speed bumps in the road. It's never going to be linear. You might start exercising and you might be great, and you might make a goal of exercising every day, and you might be achieving that goal for months, and then all of a sudden, boom, something happens and you fall off the wagon. And so there's going to be setbacks. But what we need to do is reevaluate and kind of figure out what went wrong. Was it a stress response? Was it not? Was I sick? Was I not feeling well? Was I getting bored with the exercises? Setbacks are an opportunity for us to kind of think back what we could have done better, regroup, and come back stronger. One of the things that I tell my clients is strive for 1% improvement every day. 1%. That doesn't seem like too much. I think I can do that. Yeah, 1% improvement every day. Start slowly, it builds up. The second common reason why behavior change is so difficult is that we try to use fear as a motivator. Listen, Ed, if you don't start exercising, you're going to gain weight, get diabetes, and probably have your legs cut off, and then you won't even be able to walk if you wanted to. If you look at the research, it's pretty well documented that fear is not a great long-term motivator of behavior change. Now, carrots and sticks, which are rewards and punishments, work well for short-term behavior change. Take smoking, for example. It literally says on the package, smoking will kill you. And if fear worked, then there would be no issue with people smoking. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people, but if you look at the literature, it's not a great motivator for most of the people. So the solution is not giving people more fearful facts. X number of people are going to die from heart disease, from dementia. If you don't do this, you're going to get this. And if you don't do this, you're going to get that. That doesn't work for most people. And I'll be honest, I was probably guilty of a little bit of that myself. Just letting people know, look, if you don't do this, this is what may happen. And they understand that, but that's still not enough to sometimes make a change. So what's the solution? We need to focus on internal motivation as opposed to carrots and sticks, which is external motivation. Instead of going negative, we have to go positive. So one of the things that I ask my clients is ask yourself, how would your life look differently and feel differently if you were to adopt, say, for example, a daily exercise program? It's important for people to establish an identity. So for me personally, the identity that I try to tell myself is I'd like to be strong and healthy. And then everything kind of feeds off of that. So if I don't feel like exercising, I think about that identity. I'm like, well, you know what, I'm going to show up, I'm going to work out, It may not be my best workout, but any part of the workout is still the workout. And what I'm trying to do is use that identity and picturing what I want my life to look and feel like as being my internal motivation in order for me to sustain that long-term behavior change and not rely on an external motivator or fear to do that. The third reason why behavior change is hard is because we sometimes try to bite off more than we can chew. For example, I'll have a client that is coming in for knee pain, and maybe they admit that they're a little overweight, they should start exercising, they should start eating a little bit better, they should be more consistent in going to the gym, and so then they get a burst of motivation and they want to make all these changes at once. And so they tell me, okay, Ed, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to start eating better, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to control my stress, I'm going to prioritize sleep, and I'm like, wow, all these great changes. Okay, let's see how you do. Come back in a few weeks, we'll talk about it. Guess what? They come back, and most of the time, they're just like, that lasted for about 3 days. And after that, I was like, you know what? Forget it. I can't keep this up. So I just really haven't done anything in the meantime. The solution is to focus on just 1 or 2 key areas that you want to change. So you may have, I don't know, 10 aspects of your life that you want to change, but it's just too much to change at one time. So pick 1 or 2 things to focus on. It could be something as simple as saying, okay, you know what, every single day I'm going to walk for exercise. And it could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, whatever it is, but it's consistency over intensity. And you're like, okay, I can build off of that. I can do a 10-minute walk every day over lunch, and then when I'm not working, that's not going to be a big deal to go for a 10-minute walk. So I'm going to start with that. And then once you have that habit established, then we can start building off of it. So the solution is, don't try to change everything at once, just change 1 or 2 habits at a time. Reason number 4 is a continuation of number 3. And so what you've done is you've decided to maybe change 1 thing at a time. Now, it's not enough, staying with the exercise example, to say, okay, I'm going to start exercising every day next week. That's too vague and it leaves too much room for compromise. So what would be better is having a SMART goal, which is an acronym, but basically a more specific goal. I'll put a video right up here that talks about how to establish SMART goals, but basically it's an acronym for specific, measurable, action component, relevant, and timely. So rather than just saying, I'm going to start exercising next week, I'm going to apply the principles of SMART goals to that. So for example, it's just going to be a lot more specific. I'm going to walk Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7:30 on the treadmill, downstairs, in the garage. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm going to walk outside for longer walks for 30 minutes around Lake Padden. Having specific goals will help you on your road to making lasting behavior changes. Reason number 5, behavior change is challenging. We don't have the why and the how. The why we talked a little bit about. The why is, why do you want to make the change? And if you don't have a strong enough why, it's going to be difficult to make a lasting change. I had this discussion this morning with a client, and I said, you know, I can teach you the how. How am I going to go about doing this? You know, because you have to have a certain level of knowledge, right? If you want to rehab your knee so that you can get back to playing soccer, I can teach you how to do that. I can teach you how to get back. But the why has to come from you. And once again, the why is that internal motivation. You've got to figure out, what's going to motivate me? And I'll tell clients, look, think about how you want your life to pan out. Think about how you want your life to look and how it will feel if you are able to achieve the goals that you want to do. And for my client this morning, it was playing with her grandkids, it was traveling, go to her grandkids' college graduation. So she had a lot of plans and a lot of things that she still wanted to do. And I said that think of that why, think of that new identity often. And that'll be an anchor upon which you're going to gain that internal motivation to get some things done on a daily basis. And remember, stress consistency over intensity. Any part of the workout is still the workout. Brings us to number 6. We have to improve the quality of our habits. If you haven't seen his book, Atomic Habits by James Clear, I highly recommend it. Quality of our habits helps to determine the quality of our life. So say, for example, you want to add a new habit of walking daily, and you want to get rid of the habit of maybe eating chips every night when you come home from work. So if I want to start walking every day, what I need to do is set my environment up for success. So literally the night before, maybe you lay out your shoes, anything that you're going to wear, you check the weather if you're walking outside. Okay, it's supposed to be rainy. Where's my raincoat? You get everything set up, put it in the bathroom. So you wake up in the morning, you go into the bathroom to brush your teeth, and you're not even going to leave the bathroom until you're fully dressed for your morning walk. So what you're doing is you're reducing friction and you're setting your environment up for success. The next thing you want to do is make the goal very obtainable. So maybe you start off by walking 5 or 10 minutes at a time. If you start saying, okay, I'm going to start walking for an hour, and you haven't even really been walking for 5 or 10 minutes a day, you're just setting yourself up for a setback. So you're better off making the goal ridiculously easy and saying, well, I can do 5 or 10 minutes, and then it'll be easier to build off of it. Then make the habit rewarding. So for example, I like to listen to my favorite podcast while I'm walking, and I don't allow myself to listen to it any other time. So that's another reason why I want to get out there and start walking, because I want to finish that podcast that I was on. Conversely, if we have habits that we want to break, because we all have habits that are no longer serving us, and we need to kind of change those habits. Number one, increase the friction. So using the chip example, don't have the chips readily available in your closet. Best of all, don't buy them. But if you are going to buy them, put them downstairs in the pantry, or just put them far away where it's going to take a little bit of effort for you to get that. Brings us to our very last one, which I think is probably one of the most important ones, and that is a failure to fully commit. Now, commitment's going to look a lot of different ways, but let's say you've decided that you've picked one area that you want to work on, you've made your goals SMART, you've set up your environment for success, now it's time to commit. So for example, I'm big into having everyone do a 30-minute daily walk. And what I'll tell people to do is there's different ways to kind of improve your commitment level. One way is to get a walking or an exercise buddy. To say, hey, yeah, John, I'm going to meet you at the lake here, 7 o'clock in the morning. So now you've made a commitment to that person. So when you wake up at 6:30 and you don't really feel like going, you've already committed to John that you're going to show up there at 7 o'clock, so then you're more likely to do it. Another way to commit is to buy a membership at the gym and pay for it for an entire year. So now you've got a financial commitment for the whole year. If you pay by month, then sometimes it's a little bit easier to kind of cancel it if you stop going. But if you're like, no, you know what, I paid $1,000 for this membership for the year, I better make sure that I get there and utilize all the benefits of the membership. Another way to commit is to give yourself a reward for doing the exercise or for doing the habit that you want to create. It could be a financial reward. I've got clients that have an exercise jar, so every time they perform something or they do a yoga session or they exercise, they put a couple bucks in the jar. Every time they skip, they take some money out of the jar. And so it's just a way, and it's their vacation fund. And so it's a way in which they can incentivize themselves in order to stick with the habit. Another way to do it is to commit to family and friends. And sometimes people want to put it on, if you're a big social media person, document your daily steps on social media. I've got another client that likes to binge series on Netflix, and currently they're watching Peaky Blinders on Netflix. By the way, if you haven't seen it, it's a really good series. But anyway, so he won't let himself watch an episode of Peaky Blinders until he works out. So that's kind of his carrot, that's his reward, to go to the gym, to exercise, and then he gets to sit back and watch Peaky Blinders. And the last thing I'll tell you, there's something very powerful about writing something down, because it then becomes not just a mental thing that you say, but now you've committed to writing it down. So writing down your goals is another way to help you commit. It's another form of a commitment device. All right, guys, I hope understanding a little bit more about why behavior change is so difficult, and more importantly, how you can set up your plan to succeed, will hopefully be beneficial. I go through the same stuff with clients in the clinic because, like I said, my goal is to have you, all my clients, and everyone else out there just to live a healthier lifestyle and have that centered around daily active exercise. All right, guys, if there's any questions, please leave it down below. If you found the video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and ding, turn on your notifications so that you never miss another one of our videos. Take care, good luck.